Content warning. This story involves an alleged violent crime. Everything here is based on publicly reported information, presented news style with no graphic details.
And you have just been watching a CBS News special report on a press conference out of Los Angeles given by the District Attorney of Los Angeles, along with the police chief, announcing formal charges against Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, for the deaths.
Nick Reiner is charged, not convicted, and is presumed innocent. The Nick Reiner case just hit a major turning point. Nick appeared in court for the first time this week. Prosecutors filed formal charges, and we finally have official answers to some key questions, while investigators keep everything else locked down tight. If you've been trying to piece this together from scattered social media posts, here's the complete timeline with all the details that matter. Sunday, December 14, 2025, started as a wellness check and ended with Rob and Michele Reiner found dead at a Brentwood home in Los Angeles. Rob Reiner, the filmmaker behind The Princess Bride and When Harry Met Sally, and his wife Michele Singer Reiner were found dead that afternoon, according to reporting from Reuters, People, and other major outlets.
Overnight, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and the family of Rob Reiner say the legendary Hollywood director and his wife Michele have died. Sources tell ABC News Reiner and his wife were found stabbed to death in their Los Angeles home Sunday afternoon.
The Los Angeles Police Department is now conducting an investigation at this residence here on Chadbourne, and that investigation will continue over the coming days.
Officials say they are not seeking a suspect and no arrests have been made.
Rob Reiner spent decades in Hollywood as one of the industry's most recognized directors, creating films that shaped a generation of moviegoers and gave us cultural touchstones like When Harry Met Sally for romantic comedies and The Princess Bride for fans who still quote it today. That's who we're talking about here.
That's risky business, going back from narration to story.
Yes, and we lace that storytelling aspect all the way through the film. It's Peter Falk, playing the grandfather, tells this story of the...
Their daughter Romy went to the house after a massage therapist couldn't get anyone to answer at the gate. That wellness check turned into a full police response. Los Angeles Fire Department crews showed up for medical aid first, but the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division quickly took over the investigation, which told you right away this wasn't natural causes. Robbery homicide doesn't get called for routine deaths. They handle murders, suspicious deaths, and cases where investigators suspect foul play from the start, so their involvement Sunday afternoon signaled to anyone paying attention that something serious had happened in that Brentwood home. By Sunday night, their 32-year-old son Nick Reiner sat in custody. Police arrested him that same evening. Reuters confirms jail staff booked him into a downtown facility, and the court held him without bail from that point forward.
And vice versa. The last part you just said is important because it's like you do have to realize that there are some good things from your life and whether or not you want to include them. And I wasn't really that shy about including some of the bad stuff I did because a lot of people do things that are pretty unsavory when they're going through that. But in terms of making it a narrative, of course, it's not my life, but it needs to be constructed into a story. But I think I can relate to it, of course, and I hope other people can relate.
Timeline matters here because it shows how quickly law enforcement moved. Bodies discovered in the afternoon, suspect in custody by nightfall. Investigators didn't spend days or weeks building a case before making the arrest. 2 days later, prosecutors made their move.
Our office will be filing charges against Nick Reiner, who is accused of killing his parents, actor director Rob Reiner, and photographer producer Michele Singer Reiner. These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with a special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. No decision at this point has been made with respect to the death penalty. We have requested, and currently Nick Reiner is being held without bail. Now, in announcing these charges, I also...
Tuesday, December 16th, Los Angeles County filed 2 counts of first-degree murder against Nick Reiner, and District Attorney Nathan Hochman told Reuters the case could carry either life without parole or the death penalty, depending on which path prosecutors ultimately choose to pursue. Both options remain on the table. That tells you how seriously they're treating this. First-degree murder stands as the most serious homicide charge in California, where prosecutors will have to prove the specific first-degree theory they charged, which often involves premeditation and deliberation, rather than just proving someone died during a fight or an accident that got out of hand. The decision to file first-degree charges instead of second-degree or manslaughter suggests prosecutors believe they can prove the specific first-degree theory they charged, which often involves premeditation and deliberation.
Yeah, this is very, very relevant because this is the highest level of murder in California, first-degree murder with special circumstances. So first-degree murder, that is an intentional, premeditated murder. It could result in 25 years to life behind bars. But when the district attorney enhances those charges with what is called special circumstances, and those special circumstances are enumerated in the statute, one of those being a double murder, another aggravating factor being the use of a weapon, in this case, a knife. That means that the penalty is either life without the possibility of parole or possibly the death penalty. It's an interesting.
Filing charges this quickly means they believe they have enough evidence to move forward formally, even though they're not showing their cards publicly yet. Prosecutors in cases like this typically wait until they're confident in their evidence before filing, because they don't want to charge someone with first-degree murder and then have to walk it back later if the evidence doesn't support it. Nathan Hochman took office in December 2024 after defeating George Gascon in the November 2024 election, making this one of his first major cases since assuming the role. The death penalty announcement, when it comes, will draw close attention because it'll signal how Hochman's office plans to handle high-profile violent crime cases compared to his predecessor. Wednesday, December 17th, gave everyone the moment they'd been watching for. Reuters describes him as bearded, wearing eyeglasses and a blue protective vest when he appeared in Los Angeles County Superior Court. Entertainment Weekly described it as a suicide prevention smock used when someone is under extra monitoring in custody. That detail matters because it tells you how jail officials classify him.
House in downtown Los Angeles. Now, while he waived his right to a speedy trial, pushing his arraignment back to January 7th, it was a big day for the public to see him for the first time since the deaths of his parents from over the weekend. Now, he's charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and what prosecutors say were stabbing deaths. And today, he did not enter a plea. Inside the courtroom, we could barely see Reiner. He was positioned behind glass, seated behind his high-profile attorney, Alan Jackson. His hands were shackled and he appeared to be wearing what looked like a suicide prevention or safety vest. We can't confirm exactly what it was, but it was visibly strapped and bulky. Reiner was scheduled to be arraigned, but Jackson told the judge it was too early to enter a plea, and the defense and prosecution agreed to continue the arraignment. That new date is January 7th. Alan Jackson, his attorney, spoke to reporters after the hearing outside of the courthouse.
There are very
Defense attorneys asked for the arraignment to be continued to January 7th, 2026, and the judge granted it without discussion. He did not enter a plea. An arraignment marks when the defendant formally hears the charges against them, enters a plea of guilty or not guilty, and the court sets conditions for pre-trial release or detention. Defense attorneys often ask for continuances to give themselves more time to review evidence, meet with their client, and develop their strategy before entering that plea. The judge granted the request, which runs fairly routine in serious cases, where the defense needs time to prepare. The hearing lasted only a few minutes, but one exchange stood out. When the judge asked if Nick agreed to waive his right to a speedy arraignment, his response came back clear: "Yes, Your Honor." California has fast first appearance timelines for in-custody arrests, typically within 48 hours, excluding Sundays and court holidays. Nick's willingness to waive that right suggests his defense team wants those extra weeks before he enters a plea. Outside the courthouse, defense attorney Alan Jackson gave a statement that's worth paying attention to because it signals where this case might be heading.
There are very, very complex and serious issues that are associated with this case. These need to be thoroughly but very carefully dealt with and examined and looked at and analyzed. We ask that during this process you allow the system to move forward in the way that it was designed to move forward, not with a rush to judgment, not with jumping to conclusions, but with restraint and with dignity and with the respect that this system and this process deserves and that the family deserves.
Reuters quotes him calling it a, quote, devastating tragedy, and noting there are Very, very complex and serious issues that need careful examination before anything moves forward. Alan Jackson has built a reputation in Los Angeles legal circles for handling high-profile criminal defense cases, and he's not speaking in vague terms because he lacks anything to say. He's being deliberately careful with his language, which usually means the defense strategy remains under development, and they don't want to tip their hand to prosecutors before they're ready. What that tells you runs deeper than simple of charges. They're laying groundwork for bigger context or arguments down the line, revealed what those arguments actually are. Jackson didn't explain what those complex issues are yet, and the defendant out a theory in court. Jackson isn't saying yet, but his choice of words suggests there's more to this story than the prosecution's narrative. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner released its findings. This is where speculation should stop.
People died from sharp force injuries, which we believe means stabbing. This as their youngest son made his first court appearance.
Of death, multiple sharp force injuries, manner of death, homicide. People reports those exact words from the medical examiner's office, and the Guardian same language in their reporting. Multiple sharp force injuries serves as medical examiner language for stab wounds or similar penetrating trauma. And the term multiple indicates more than one injury, though the medical examiner hasn't really count to the public. The manner of death being ruled homicide means the medical examiner determined these deaths came from another person's actions, not by accident, suicide causes. So here's where we stand on confirmed infraction. First-degree murder charges have been filed. Nick appeared in court. The arraignment lands on January. Medical examiners ruled both deaths homicides. All of that carries official weight. What's missing from that list remains motive, because Reuters explicitly says authorities haven't disclosed why this happened or whether factors like drug use played a role in what occurred that day. If someone online claims they know the reason behind this, treat that as speculation, unless it's backed by official court documents from law enforcement. Motive isn't required to convict someone of murder under California law, but juries typically want to understand why something happened before they're willing to convict on serious charges like these. Proceed to explain motive at trial, even if they don't have to prove it legally. Right now, they're not saying anything publicly about what they believe motivated this. Circulating online. It needs context before people run with it.
New details about Rob Reiner's final hours are coming to light. One day before the director and his wife, Michele Reiner, were found dead inside their Los Angeles home December 14th, he and the couple's son, Nick Reiner, got into a, quote, heated argument at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party.
Multiple outlets report Nick argued with his parents the night before at a holiday party, O'Brien, with people citing multiple sources who described the argument, and Reuters noting that various media outlets showed a quarrel there as well. Conan O'Brien has maintained friendships with his family for years, and holiday parties at his home have been mentioned in past interviews and social media posts over time. It reportedly took place Saturday night, December 13th, which would place it roughly 12 hours before someone discovered the bodies Sunday afternoon. But here's what you need to understand about that information. Law enforcement has not publicly confirmed. They definitely haven't connected it to motive or what happened the next day. Details about what went down at that party depending on which outletting, so the most accurate way to simple. Media reports say there was an argument. Investigators haven't tied it to anything official. Some outlets disputed argument, others call. One report suggested family matters, but didn't specify. Without official confirmation from investigators or statements from witnesses willing to go on the record, we're in speculation territory. It could be relevant. Nothing. We don't know yet. The speed of this case forms part of what's keeping headlines. Bodies discovered Sunday afternoon. Arrest that same night. Charges by Tuesday. First court appearance when 3 days from arrest to courtroom. For a case this profile, that timeline moves fast, and it's exactly why every procedural step treated as breaking news by major outlets cover. Part of what drives that speed stems from California's legal requirements for arraignment, where the clock starts ticking immediately when someone gets arrested and held in custody. Prosecutors have to file charges quickly or release suspect. In cases where evidence is strong and the crime carries serious weight, prosecutors move fast to keep the defendant in custody while they build their case. Public attention provides the other factor. When a case involves a celebrity family and crime, media pressure pushes everyone involved to act quickly and decisively in ways they might not for lower-profile cases. Law enforcement wants to show taking it seriously. Prosecutors want to demonstrate they're on top of it. Defense attorneys want to establish their narrative. Public opinion hardens against their client. That creates momentum that that speeds up timelines compared to less visible cases. 3 things to watch as this develops. January 7th marks the next date that matters. That faces arraignment, which typically marks when a plea gets entered and the case into its next phase, after which you'll start seeing court dates dealing with evidence, legal motions, and how prosecutors plan to prove what they've charged. Arraignment also brings bail discussions, though in a case involving 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances potential, bail seems unlikely at this stage. The defense could request it. The prosecution will almost certainly oppose it. The judge will probably side with the prosecution, given the severity of the charges. After arraignment, the next phase includes a preliminary hearing on a tight timeline, though dates can be continued. That hearing is where prosecutors have to show there's enough evidence to move the case toward trial, and it's often the first time the public hears more concrete details. One thing to watch centers on whether prosecutors decide to pursue the death penalty. They haven't announced a decision yet. Capital punishment remains on the books in California, but it's legally complicated and politically sensitive, so that call could go either way. When they do make that decision, it'll be a headline all by itself. California executed anyone since 2006, and Governor Gavin Newsom placed a moratorium on executions in 2019 that still remains. So even if prosecutors seek the death penalty and a jury imposes it, full execution seems unlikely under current policy. The decision to seek death in this case would be more about signal severity of the crime and giving prosecutors in potential plea negotiations than about actually expecting an execution to happen. The third watch involves verified statements from investigators, prosecutors, or the defense as this case develops over the coming weeks and months. Right now, most of what's circulating consists of media reporting and court procedure. As actual filings, evidence summaries, or briefings become public, the picture will get clearer and the speculation will get replaced with facts. Discovery marks the process where prosecutors turn over their evidence to the defense. That happens after arraignment. Some of that material will become public through court filings. Some will stay sealed until trial. But as more the court docket, reporters will dig through them, and more concrete emerge about what actually happened in that Brentwood home on December 14th. Nick Reiner faces 2 counts of first-degree murder. He appeared in court without entering a plea. His arraignment lands on January 7, 2026. Medical examiners confirmed death as multiple sharp force injuries and ruled both deaths homicides. Investigators have not publicly disclosed a motive. That's where we stand. Everything here is backed by official sources, not speculation. This will develop over months, possibly years if it goes to trial, with the arraignment on January 7th serving as the next significant public moment, after which court filings and preliminary hearings will fill in the gaps that are currently being held back by investigators. If you've seen specific claims trending about this case on TikTok or Reddit, drop them in the comments and I'll tell you if they're confirmed, disputed, or just noise. Subscribe for updates when the next court filings drop, because this story remains far from over.